how our culture, how beliefs, the values that have been passed on to us greatly influence our food choices. I can certainly attest to that. The Filipino culture that I grew up with greatly influences my food choices. And also diabetes runs in my family, so what I'm about to go over with you is something that I try to do myself, okay? So we're going to talk first, before Angie digs deeper on global foods, what is carbohydrate counting and making healthy food choices? If you would like to control your blood sugars tightly, this is a very important skill that you need to master. What is this? This is called carbohydrate counting. You have to be very familiar with foods that have carbohydrates. Okay? But first, let us understand what are carbohydrates. So carbohydrates or carbs provide our body with energy. When you digest, when you eat carbohydrates, your body pulverizes it into sugars or glucose. Okay? It's very important to remember. Carbs are present in foods such as starch, sugar, and or fiber. The type and portion size of carbohydrates you eat affects your blood sugar. Carbohydrates essentially dictate the level of your blood sugars. So very important to really be familiar with them. And a serving of starch, fruit, or milk provides 15 grams of carbohydrates, or is referred to as one carbohydrate choice. Now, what are examples of carbohydrates? Okay, we find this in our everyday meal. So there are the grains, which could either be rice, wheat, oatmeal, quinoa, barley, any type of grains. Starchy vegetables. So when you eat vegetables, ask yourself, is this starchy or non-starchy? Because starchy vegetables is considered as carbohydrates, okay? What are the examples? Corn, winter squash or pumpkin, what else? Potatoes or root crops are considered as starchy vegetables. Legumes, such as beans, peas, and lentils are also considered carbohydrates. And this is most of us, mistake fruits as, it's healthy, absolutely healthy to eat fruits, but you also have to keep in mind that fruits are also considered carbohydrates or sugars, okay? Any fruits under the sun is considered as carbohydrates because they have natural sugars. And of course, juices, milk, yogurt, which also some of us are not aware, so the milk that we drink has carbohydrates, honey, agave, sugar, molasses, desserts, certain alcoholic drinks. And you might ask, what is that alcoholic drink? So particularly beer and wine, any fermented alcohol is considered carbohydrates, okay? So what is carbohydrate counting? So it makes sense, right? If carbohydrates turn to sugars, right? All carbs, they turn to sugars. It makes sense to count them and measure them, right? Get a sense of how much you're consuming because they will influence your blood sugars. So carbohydrate counting is essentially keeping track of the amount of carbohydrates that you have at each meal or snack, okay? This is something you need to remember. One carbohydrate choice is equivalent to 15 grams of carbohydrates. Okay? You can call it as one choice or one serving, and the amount of carbohydrates in that one choice is 15 grams or 1/5. Okay? So you can see here too, there is a general guide of carbohydrates at each meal. Now, there are different recommendations for women and men, and there is amount for weight loss, weight maintenance, and for the very active. Someone who has an active lifestyle. Now, these are general recommendations, right? But in order for you to determine what specifically is the right amount of carbohydrates for you, it's best to check your blood sugars before and 2 hours after you eat, right? So you can see the instant feedback, whether this is the right amount of carbohydrates for me, okay? Now, when you check your blood sugars, what are the numbers you're looking at? Anyone here? What's the blood sugar target before meals? Yes, sir.
Glucose 100 or less.
100 or less is definitely great, okay? The maximum for people with diabetes before meals is less than 130, okay? I don't know if there's anyone here who's pre-diabetic, not diabetic yet, okay? So for pre-diabetic, it's a tighter goal. Before meals is less than 110, okay? And for after meals for diabetics, wait for 2 hours, okay, before you check it, it's less than 180. Ideally less than 160 after meals. And for pre-diabetics, it's less than 140. Okay? So these are the blood sugar targets. You want to know if this is really the right amount of carbohydrates for you by checking before and after meals. Now, I'm not suggesting that you over-test, okay? Because I don't know what your insurance coverage is as far as your test strips is concerned. But if you want to do it this way, so you don't risk over-testing, you could do day 1 before and after breakfast, right? Day 2, you do before and after lunch, and then day 3, before and after dinner. Okay, so essentially you're checking only twice a day, right? But for those of you who are on insulin, okay, that's a different ballgame right there, okay? So ask your doctor how many times should you check if you are on insulin, because it could be a minimum of twice a day, okay, for those who are on insulin. Alright, so don't worry about writing this down because this is available online when you go to the Diabetes Wellness Day website. Okay, they have all this information for you. Our slides, right, are uploaded in that website. Okay, so moving on, how would you like to implement this? So these are the tools that you need. This should be present in everyone's kitchen, right? Measuring cups, right? Food weighing scale. And I have here the measuring cups that you want to have, you know, the 1 cup, the half a cup, a third of a cup, a fourth of a cup, and an eighth of a cup when you're measuring your carbohydrates, okay? Now the dollar store has measuring cups, right? So there's no excuse not to have one. I don't think they have the smaller ones, so you can go to any store for the other measuring cup. And of course, measuring spoons. Okay, so there are also apps online that we did not include in our presentation because we don't have a lot of time to talk about it. But if you want to keep track of your carbohydrates, you can upload a free app. It's called MyFitnessPal or Calorie King. Or if you have iPhone, if you're visual, you can download Figwee, F-I-G-W-E-E, Figwee. So these are carb tracking tools that you can use, okay? All right. So when do you know that you're eating healthy? These are important components of a healthy meal. Okay? When you have whole grain, high fiber, and these are essentially your plant-based foods, right? Have you heard of this acronym called JERF? It's not JERF, but JERF. So JERF means just eat real foods, okay? These are foods that have no artificial flavors, no preservatives, right? Not coming from a box or a can, but it's the, it's the concept of from farm to your table, to your plate, okay? Those are real whole foods that you want to have at your plate, okay? Another, of course, is you want to have a source of protein. Protein is an important source of, nutrient as well. So for animal products, you want lean. When we say lean, there is no visible fat, right? Or it's not cooked in a lot of oil or fried, okay? So because it can affect your health as well. What about low fat? We're talking about here low in saturated and trans fat. Those are the bad type of fats that can clog your heart, okay? So you want to look at that as well. And of course, you practice portion control. So to put carbohydrate counting in practical sense, I have some sample meals for you. So for breakfast, if you have a small piece of bread, grab this one. This is the size of a small piece or slice of bread. It could be bread and could be chapati, it could be roti, right? Any type of bread in your ethnic foods. This is considered as one choice or 15 grams, okay? Now, along with this, if you want to add a small piece of fruit, a size of a tennis ball, this is considered as one choice or 15 grams of carbohydrates. And if you have your hot beverage that you'd like to mix some sugar or honey, right, with, you also need to count that as carbohydrates, okay? A tablespoon of sugar or honey is considered as one choice. Now, if you have yogurt, this size, 6 ounce, this is considered as one choice or 15 grams, okay? So count your carbs. Let's say this is my breakfast. How many carbs do I have at this meal? 1, 2, 3, okay? Usually, 2 to 3 choices or 2 to 3 servings of carbohydrates is a safe amount of carbs to eat to control your blood sugars, whether you're man or woman, okay? So 2 to 3 is the magic number. Now, as I have said, protein is an important source of your meal as well. Why? Because protein helps stabilize your blood sugar. According to studies, protein has that stabilizing effect. It prevents your sugar from overpeaking, right? Or going too low. So, it could be egg whites, right? You can mix it with, vegetables. Maybe have an egg white omelette for breakfast. Or if you have the bread, you want to spread a thin layer of peanut butter. And if you have the yogurt also is not just carbohydrates, but a source of protein, okay? Now, another example is if you have your cereals. So, half a cup of, let's see, this is a measuring cup right here, half a cup of sweetened cereal, such as Honey Nut Cheerios. This is half a cup, this is one choice, or 15 grams. Not a whole lot, isn't it? That's why you need to have other sources of nutrient in your food, not just carbs, but also it's not a bad idea to have vegetables at breakfast, right? So that's why you have the egg white with your spinach and your peppers and all the other vegetables. Now, what about if you have the unsweetened cereal? So unsweetened cereal, you get to have more with 2/3 of a cup, okay? And if you pour the milk on your dry cereal, a cup of milk is considered as one choice, or 15 grams. All right? Whether it is low fat or whole milk. Okay? It has the same amount of carbs. The only difference is it's low in fat. Okay? Which is a healthier choice. And if it's a hot cereal like oatmeal, grits, cream of wheat, right? You measure it when it's cold. Half a cup is considered as one serving, or 15 grams, okay? So 1 cup gives you 2 choices, all right? So, I'm not seeing happy faces. So that's where you're gonna fill with other, non-carbohydrate items, okay? So what about lunch or dinner ideas? So, as I said, it's an important part of your meal. You want to have the whole grain. So a 1/3 cup, you want to see the 1/3 cup? Especially when you go to Chinese restaurants. A 1/3 cup of cooked rice, right? Or pasta or noodles is 1 serving, or 15 grams. Not a lot, right? So therefore, if you have 1 cup of rice, how many servings do you have? 3 servings, or 45 grams of carbohydrates already. But when you go to the restaurants, right, the Asian restaurants, they give you a mountain full of rice. So that's a lot of carbs, so don't wonder why your doctor keeps giving you medications. Alright? Okay. Now, if you want to add a piece of fruit, again, a very small size, that's 1 carb. And lean protein, preferably non-red meat. Why? Because it's low in bad fats. Okay, so you have chicken, fish, or turkey. And plenty of non-starchy vegetables. So you saw it earlier, right? During the welcome address, the plate method. This is something you really wanted to, okay? Because it simplifies things. This is an effective way of controlling your portion. So you have a 9-inch plate, half of the plate are your non-starchy. Let me repeat, non-starchy. This is not made out of corn and potatoes, okay? This is made out of, the green leafy vegetables, or, broccoli, cauliflower, right, spinach, asparagus, what else? Mushrooms, eggplants, the non-starchy list, which, by the way, you can also find in that website, okay? So what about about the other side of the plate? This is a picture of a healthy, complete meal. So you have your protein again, right? So lean protein. Let me repeat the word lean, not a lot of fat. There's no chitlins there. Right? High-fat foods. And also your, your carbohydrates right here, or your starch. Okay, either whole grain or your starchy vegetables. Okay, according to the amount of carbohydrates you need to have. What about snacks? So I'm giving you some snack ideas here, and they're grouped into carbohydrates and non-carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, again, could be either any small piece of fruit. And by the way, the ripeness of the fruit also has an effect on your blood sugar. Okay, the riper the fruit, the higher the sugar content. So when you see those brown spots in bananas, it's going to be higher in sugar. Okay, don't wait for it to turn that way. And then, of course, yogurt is also a carbohydrate snack, and any typical native snack, which you will later find out from Angie where it goes. Now, if you want to tightly control your blood sugars, I encourage you to snack on non-carbohydrates, right? So what are they? The safest will be raw vegetables. You know, when you go to the grocery and you see this vegetable platter, that is your non-starchy vegetables, okay, that you can have as a snack. Be careful also with the dipping, right? Because ranch or, any creamy dressing is going to be high in fat, right? And high in calories if you're trying to control your weight. So be aware of that. Nuts is also another non-carbohydrate snack, but I'm not encouraging you to have a lot of nuts because what's going to happen is it may not affect your blood sugars, but it can affect your weight, right? Because it's also densely, packed with calories. Okay, so going for your goal. So this is when you know when you're healthy eating, you're staying active and taking your medications are really having a positive effect on your health, okay, when you're achieving these goals. So this is essentially knowing your ABCs, okay? Does anybody know what ABC stand for? Very good. B is for blood pressure, okay? C is for cholesterol, okay? So what is A1C? This is also known as hemoglobin A1C. This is a test ordered by your physician, okay, from Kaiser, and this is your 90-day blood sugar average. Your target is less than 7, okay? And B is for blood pressure. So your blood pressure target should be 139 on the top number and 89 on the bottom number, and definitely much lower, okay, if you want to achieve a good blood pressure control. C is for cholesterol, and we're looking particularly with LDL or bad cholesterol, okay? So you want this to be less than 100, preferably if you already have, any heart condition, you need to get it down to less than 70, okay? So remember that in all these three, the higher your number, the higher your risks for complications associated with diabetes, okay? So you gotta keep it down, okay? And how do you keep it down? So this is at the very heart of managing diabetes, is you really wanna do this not just some days or a few days, but every single day. Is you want to eat healthy, right? And as I have said, I can't stress enough the importance of having vegetables, whole grains, fruit, which we will count as carbohydrates with those two, lean protein, nuts and seeds, okay? And physical activity. Now, physical activity, you do not have to be a member of the gym to be physically active, right? Could be as simple as walking, bicycling, dancing, if you like to dance. If you have any nearby recreation centers, swimming, if you have a pool in your house, you want to do some physical activity because this helps naturally lowers your blood sugars, okay? And medication. So if you are already on medications, please take your medications. And we know at Kaiser when you're not taking it. You want to know how? Because you don't come back for refills, right? And then when you see your doctor, yes, doc, I'm taking the medication, the doctor really knows if you are or not. Okay, so make sure you take your medications And not just for oral medication, it could be injectable, right, if you're already on insulin. So make sure you take them as instructed and bring it when you travel. Okay? Alright, so to learn more about global foods or the carbohydrates in non-Western meals,